So last class we were discussing about the pressure line diagram. So how to draw the pressure line diagram and how to calculate the stress at any given cross section using the force resultant force acting at that pressure point. So then I told you that one of the application was to find the stress profile. One of the application of pressure diagram was to find the stress profile, and the another application is for load balancing. So today's class will discuss about load balancing concept through the usage of pressure line diagram. So, and there is another approach also to discuss the load balancing that involves direct calculation of forces. Yes. That involves direct calculation of forces. So that concept, alternate concept, we'll discuss in maybe tomorrow. So for today's class, we will discuss load balancing concept through the use of pressure line diagram. Suppose we have a beam and it is subjected to some external loads. So under the action of these external loads, the beam will bend. So here compression will occur at the top and tension will occur at the bottom. So there is a positive bending moment. So we have a sagging curvature. Now, what can you do when you know that top fiber is going to compression, bottom fiber is going to tension? So you know the beam is bending like this. So you can provide a pre-stress such a way that initially the beam bends in the opposite way. So you can apply a pre-stressing force and you can lay out the cable in such a way that the beam will hog. That means it will lift up so that the top fiber is in tension. So when it lifts up, the top fiber will be in tension and the bottom fiber will be in compression. Okay, so you are able to see this file, right? This slide.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we can provide the we can provide that cable and apply the pre-stress such a way that the top fiber will go in tension and bottom fiber is going in compression and the whole beam lifts up. So then after that, when you apply the load, because the beam is already lifted up, because of this load, the beam will straighten, will reach a straight curvature. So this is what we can summarize. So we can provide the cable profile in such a way that the beam will lift up, and when the external load acts, the beam will come back to its straight configuration. Okay. If there is no pre-stressing force, then the beam will sag. But we have provided the pre-stressing force in such a way that the beam will lift up. And on top of it, when the external load comes, the curvature will become straight. So this is the basic concept of load balancing. So we give a opposite effect on the beam so that when that external load comes, it will cancel out and it will reach, it will be balanced. Okay, so we can do the analysis for this system using the pressure line diagram. So we will know how to lay out the cable and what should be the force P naught we should apply for a given layout so that it will balance that external loads. All that we can discuss using the pressure line concept. So before doing that, let's look at this beam. And you are able to see this slide, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's look at this beam. And this beam has the neutral axis here, and we are providing a concentric tendon. That means the cable line coincides with the neutral axis, and we are applying some external, we are applying the pre-stressing force, which is shown by these arrows. P naught is given. P naught is the pre-stressing force. So since the pre-stressing force coincides with the neutral axis, this entire beam will be in a state of pure compression. And we have the sigma top and sigma bottom both are equal, and it will be equal to P naught by A. A is the gross cross-sectional area. Now what we do, we apply external bending moment. So we apply a sagging curve, we apply a uniform bending moment. So uniform bending moment we can show by this two arrows. So this is giving a we are giving that M external, and this will try to bend the beam in the, it will try to give a positive curvature and the beam will bend down. Now for this external movement, we can find out where is the pressure line. So what is the pressure line? Pressure line is the offset from the cable line. Okay. So we can find out A of x, that is offset of the pressure line from the cable line. That value is m of x by p naught. And here the bending moment is uniform throughout the cross section, throughout that length. So we get m external by p naught. So we can find out this distance A of x, it is equal to m external by p naught. And once we know the pressure line, we can calculate what is the sigma at the top and sigma at the bottom, stress at the top and stress at the bottom. The compressive stress at the top will be P naught by A plus M external by ZT, or you can write, it will be M external by ZT, because this is a sagging bending moment, so top fiber is in compression, so it will be M external by ZT. And the bottom fiber will be P naught by A minus M external by ZB, because the bottom fiber will go into tension under the action of this M external loading. So this is the top fiber stress and the bottom fiber stress. Now what we do here, so we see that the top fiber has higher compression than the bottom fiber. Now what we do is, we will shift this cable line, which is downward by a certain amount. Okay, so that distance of shifting from the neutral axis, that is called eccentricity of the cable line with respect to the neutral axis. We shift it by A of x. Okay, so eccentricity with respect to the neutral axis, E of x is A of x. Okay. So we have shift the cable downward by this much amount, A of x amount. And what is eccentricity? It is the distance of the cable line from the neutral axis. So we have provided eccentricity such that it is eccentricity equal to A of x. Okay. Now where does the pressure line occur for this loading under the action of this P naught and M external? So we see that when you shift the cable line downward by A of x, the cable line pressure line also moves downward by A of x. Okay. So for this configuration, the pressure line will coincide with the neutral axis. So we can locate the pressure line from this cable line, A of x. A of x is equal to M of x by P naught, M external by P naught, and M of that is equal that will coincide with the neutral axis. So for this configuration, if you look at the stress at the top fiber and stress at the bottom fiber, what will happen? So this is the pressure line. So if you calculate the stress at any cross section, it should be P naught by A, because the resultant compression force is acting at the neutral axis location. So if you take at any cross section, the stress value will be P naught by A, either at the top or at the bottom. We can check that once more here by just doing that manually. So sigma at the top will be P naught by A plus P naught into sigma at the top, right? Yeah, sigma at the top will be P naught by A, that is a compressive force, and M external will produce a compression at the top, so M external by ZT. And then we have this distance P naught E, that moment corresponding to that. So this moment will be hogging. So the top fiber will be in tension because of this hogging moment, and bottom fiber will be in compression. So that hogging moment will produce tension. So we'll write minus P naught E of x by ZT. So this is the expression for the compressive stress at the top fiber. Now what we can do, we can take P naught by ZT common. So we will get M external by P naught minus E of x. Okay, so P naught by ZT we are taking it common. So M external by P naught and minus E of x will get. And we have chosen A of x such that A of x is equal to M external by P naught. So we'll get A of x minus E of x. And for this specific case, we have taken E of x and A of x are the same. So this will cancel out and we are left with P naught by A. Similarly, if you do that for the stress at the bottom fiber, you will have minus M external by ZB, because the bottom fiber is in tension due to the external load. And we have P naught E of x. So this will produce a hogging moment, so bottom fiber will be again in compression, so plus P naught E of x by EB. Again, these two terms, second and third term will go to cancel out, and we are left with P naught by A. So what we have found here is when you move the so this is the initial cable line, and the pressure line is at a distance A of x from the cable line. Now, when you shift the cable line downward by small distance, by a distance A of x, then the pressure line also shifts downward by A of x, and then this coincides with the neutral axis. So if you provide a cable with eccentricity E of x such that it is equal to A of x, okay, then we can say that the beam will be subjected to uniform compressive force. Okay, so this is the major result of this analysis. So to summarize, we have this initially a beam which is subjected to some external moment, and we have provided a cable. This is the cable here at a eccentricity E of x such that E of x is equal to m external by P naught. So what will happen is we can combine these two loads. So we have this P naught value. P naught will become P naught plus couple P naught E. So P naught E is m external. So what will happen here is we can transfer this force here to the neutral axis. So that will be the compressive force at the neutral axis. Then there is a couple acting here, P naught E. So that couple is shown here, P naught E and P naught E, and that will produce a hogging moment. And on top of it, we have the external load, M external here and M external here. That will produce a sagging moment. So the net effect will be, since M external and P naught E are equal, so these two will cancel out, and also here these two will cancel out. We are left with only compression load acting at the neutral axis, along the neutral axis, and this will result in a pure compression. So we can neglect these two circular arrows moments, we can neglect, and we are left with a state of pure compression. So if you are given an external load like this, and if you provide this eccentric cable at a distance m external by P naught, we are obtaining a pure compressive stress in the beam, and there is no curvature in the beam. The beam is perfectly straight. So this is what we can say about load balancing. If there is no external if there is no cable, no pre-stressing cable, then this beam will bend and there will be a sagging curvature. And we have provided this external cable in such a way that sagging is nullified, and we are left with a straight curvature. Okay, and that curvature is straight, and the entire beam is in a state of pure compression. Okay, so this is the basic concept of load balancing. So main thing we are doing is we are making sure that the pressure line coincides with the neutral axis here, and in such case we'll get a state of pure compression. So what is a pressure line? Pressure line is a resultant of all the forces acting at a given section, and if that force, that compressive force, is acting at the neutral axis, obviously it will not produce any moment and it will have pure compression at that section. Yeah, so this is, we can look at different other loading scenario. Here this is a constant bending moment across the cross section. We can look at a distributed load acting on the beam. So the distributed load is uniform, and that uniform load is Q. So you can say Q Newton per meter or Q kilonewton per meter, etc. So because this is a simply supported condition, the beam is in a simply supported beam is simply supported. So we have the bending moment like this. So at the end, left hand and right hand, we have zero bending moment, and we have a parabolic profile. At the center, we have the maximum bending moment, and that is equal to W L square by 8. So here Q L square by 8. Okay, so that's the maximum bending moment. Now, if we have a cable line which is coinciding with the neutral axis, we can then plot the pressure line. So the pressure line will look like this. It is also parabolic, and we can find out the distance of the pressure line from the cable line. The distance is A of x. So that A of x is equal to m of x by P naught. So the resultant of at any given cross section, the resultant force will act at that pressure point, and it will compress the beam. And what we do now is we want to do load balancing. So instead of providing a straight cable, we will provide a curved cable. Okay, we'll give a curvature to the cable. This cable, instead of tendon being straight, we'll give a curved tendon. So that curved tendon will look like this. Okay. So here at point at the left edge and right edge, it will coincide with the neutral axis, and in between there is a curvature in the cable itself. Instead of giving a straight cable, we are giving a curved cable. Now, what should be the distance of that cable from the neutral axis? So that distance is, let's denote it, it is called eccentricity and E of x, that is denoted by E of x. And we give that E of x value such that that value is equal to A of x. Okay. So eccentricity with respect to the neutral axis, E of x is A of x. So we will have this distance as E of x. Now, where will the pressure line lie for this case? Can anyone answer it? So when you move the cable by a distance A of E of x, which is equal to A of x downward, where will the pressure line lie?
At neutral axis.
Yeah, the pressure line will coincide with the neutral axis now. Initially, you have the pressure line like this. Now you are bending the cable and making it into a curved beam, curved tendon, and where the curvature, the distance from the neutral axis is E of x, which happens to be A of x. So the pressure line will coincide now with the neutral axis. Okay, so this is the pressure line, and we can find out what is the maximum eccentricity. To find the maximum eccentricity, we have to find A max, A of x max. So A of max occurs at x is equal to the A of max will be m max by p naught. So m max is ql square by 8 by p naught. So this is the maximum eccentricity in the cable. E max is ql square by 8 p naught. Okay. So this is the way we do the load balancing. So instead of this straight tendon, we'll give a curved tendon, and the eccentricity is such that E of x is equal to A of x. The maximum eccentricity will occur at the center of the beam, center span of the beam, and that maximum eccentricity value will be m max by p naught. So m max is ql square by 8 and by p naught. Okay, so we can lay out the cable in this parabolic fashion, and what will happen is this parabolic cable with this pre-stressing force will balance out this external load, and the beam will now be in a state of uniform compression, and the pressure is P naught, which is acting along that pressure line, and there will be no curvature in the beam. The beam will be straight. Okay, so this is the load balancing which is happening. Suppose we can analyze another scenario. In this scenario, we have a point load acting on the beam. So and the beam is simply supported. So let's call the point load magnitude as Q. So we can draw the bending moment diagram. So we have the bending moment diagram here. The shear force is Q by 2 here. So at the center we'll have the maximum bending moment Q by 2 into L by 2. So Q L by 4. And there will be a linear variation, and after that there will be another linear variation. So there will be increase and then a decrease. Now once we know the bending moment diagram, we can plot the pressure line. So the pressure line will be A of x is equal to m of x by p naught. So the pressure line is the distance of the pressure point from the cable line. So we get A of x also indicated by this red line, and this will have again a linear variation and a linear variation with the maximum A max occurring at the center span. So this will have a similar shape like the bending moment diagram, only that it is scaled by P naught. Okay, it's scaled down by amount of P naught. Now, how will you lay out the cable to balance this load? So what we do here, instead of the straight tendon, we place the tendon into like this. We'll make a tendon with this shape. So it consists of two sections, two straight profiles, and the eccentricity of this cable with respect to the neutral axis is E of x, and we choose E of x value equal to A of x. Okay, so E of x value is A of x, and as a result, we will provide the maximum eccentricity at the center. So again, what will happen is from the neutral from this cable line, we can find out the pressure line distance, and that is A of x. So it happens to coincide with the neutral axis now. Okay, so the resultant of the pressure at any section is lying at the neutral axis. Okay, and this is how load balancing is done, and we can find out what is the maximum eccentricity which is occurring at the center. So E max will be equal to M max by P naught. So at the center maximum value is QL by 4 by P naught. Okay, so that is a maximum eccentricity. So in this case, this is the new cable line, and this is the new pressure line. Okay, and pressure line coincides with the neutral axis. So again, when you provide the cable with that eccentricity and that P naught value, what we will have is, instead of sagging, the beam will be perfectly straight, and it will be in a state of compression equal to P naught by A. Okay, so we can do another scenario. We have here a beam, and it is subjected to 2-point loads which are symmetric. So let's call the distance of this load from the left edge be B, and the distance of this load from the right edge also is B. Okay, so we can draw the bending moment here. So we have the shear force reactions Q and Q, and as a result there will be a increase in the bending moment from 0 to QB, and then it will remain constant, and from then QB onwards it will again decrease and go to 0. Okay, so the maximum bending moment is QB, and we have a constant bending moment between these 2 points. So we can draw the pressure line. Here initially we have our tendon, which is concentric with the neutral axis, and we can find out what is A of x. So A of x value is M of x by P naught. So the shape of A of x will be similar to the shape of the M of x, only that it is divided by P naught. So we have the shape like this, and yeah, so this is the pressure line. Now we want to do the load balancing. So what we do, we make the cable in such a way that the pressure line will coincide with the neutral axis. So how to do that? We give a eccentricity E of the cable with respect to the neutral axis that is equal to A of x. Okay, so we make the cable in this fashion. So the cable line is now following this shape, and here between these 2 points it is straight, and between this point and this point it is inclined. Okay, between this point and this point there is one incline, and between this point and this point there is another inclination. Okay, so in this case again we are providing E of x is equal to A of x. So the pressure line will now shift to the neutral axis, and we will have a state of uniform compression. And we can find out what is the maximum eccentricity of the cable, E max, and that will be M max by P naught. So maximum bending moment is QB, so we will get QB by P naught. Okay, so we can what will happen if you if you have a cable like this and we apply that pre-stressing force. So under the action of these external loads, there will be no sagging. The beam will be perfectly straight, but it will be in a state of pure compression. That will be equal to P naught by A. A represents the gross area of the section. Okay, so we'll do one simple example, and then yeah, I'll take a small break and come back. Okay, so we'll solve a very simple example here. So we have a rectangular beam of a cross section width 350 millimeters and height 700 millimeter. So the length of the beam is 10 meters. It carries a UDL that is a uniformly distributed load of 20 kilonewton per meter. And the weight of the concrete, density of concrete is 24 kilonewton per meter cube. So when you say density of concrete is given, that means we have to consider the self weight of the beam. Okay, and then the minimum cover distance is 150 millimeters. So for this problem, we'll assume cross section properties. So we are asked to find the cable profile and the pre-stress force. So we'll do the load balancing and lay out the cable such that the beam will be in a state of pure compression, and the external load due to the dead load and live load, that external self weight and the UDL will be balanced load. So we have our rectangular beam, width is 350, B is 350, height H is 700. So the center of gravity will lie at H by 2, and we have the neutral axis passing through that centroid. And we have a clear cover given as 150 millimeters. So clear cover means if you have the bar here, so from the lower part of the bar to the bottom part of the beam, the distance is the clear cover, and that is given as 150. So we have A is equal to BH, that is a gross area. So 245 into 10 power 3 millimeter square. I value about the neutral axis passing through the G, it is BH cube by 12. So it is coming around 10,004 into 10 power 6 millimeter power 4. Then we can get the section modulus for the top fiber and section modulus for the bottom fiber, ZT and ZB, and that is BH square by 6. Okay, and that is coming 28.58 into 10 power 6 millimeter cube. Clear cover was 150 millimeters. So with this information, we can go ahead and calculate the loads acting on the beam. So we are given the density of concrete. So from the density, we can get the distributed load due to self weight. So the distributed load due to self weight is QDL, and we multiply area of cross section with the density. So area of cross section of the beam is 245 into 10 power 3 millimeter square into 24 kilonewton per meter cube. So we can replace millimeter square by 1 by 10 power 6 meter square. So what will happen is we get 24 into 245 into 10 power 3 by 1 by 10 power 6. We're getting around 5.88 meter square, and meter cube will cancel out, and we'll get kilonewton per meter. So 5.88 kilonewton per meter. And live load is given, that is a UDL, which is 20 kilonewton per meter. So the total load is Q dead load plus Q live load. So it is coming around 20 plus 5.88, 25.88 kilonewton per meter. So we are treating it as a simply supported beam with a span length 10 meters. So we'll get a parabolic bending moment of parabolic shape. The maximum occurs at the center, and that value is Q L square by 8. So 25.88 kilonewton per meter into 10 meter whole square. So we're getting 323.5 kilonewton meter. So that is the maximum bending moment occurring here. So we can sketch the beam, and we can place the tendon initially concentrate with the neutral axis. So the cable line is coinciding with the neutral axis here, and then we can plot the pressure line. So this is the pressure line, and the distance of the pressure line from the cable line is A of x, and that value A of x is M of x by P naught. Now we do the load balancing. So we provide a eccentric cable with the eccentricity E of x with respect to the neutral axis, that is equal to A of x, and that will be equal to M of x by P naught. So the maximum eccentricity will occur at the center, and that is denoted by EL by 2. So that will be M max by P naught. Okay. So here let's look at the maximum eccentricity. EL by 2 is M max by P naught. So P naught into EL by 2 is M max. So what is the maximum possible value of eccentricity? If you see here, this is a clear cover, and total distance of the neutral axis from the bottom fiber is H by 2. So the maximum possible eccentricity will be H by 2 minus clear cover. Okay. If the cable goes below it, then the clear cover is exceeded. Not minimum clear cover is not maintained. So we have to have the cable above this line. Okay. This line is at a this distance is 150 millimeters. So we have to have the cable line above it. So the maximum value of EL by 2 will be H by 2 minus clear cover, and that is 200 millimeters. So we lay out the cable in this fashion in the parabolic profile with A of x is equal to E of x. So then what will happen is the pressure line will coincide with the neutral axis here. and the eccentricity at the mid fiber at the center span will be EL by 2, and EL by 2 we take as H by 2 minus clear cover. So we get 700 by 2 minus 150, we get 200. So we get P naught is Mx by EL by 2 max. So minimum value of P naught will occur at the maximum value of EL by 2. The maximum value of EL by 2 is 200. So we are getting around 323.5 kilonewton per meter by 0.2 meters. So 200 millimeters, right, as 0.2 meters, we get 1617.5 kilonewton. We can choose eccentricity still less, but what will happen is the pre-stressing force will increase. So to minimize the pre-stressing force, we have to choose the maximum possible eccentricity. Okay, so that's why I'm written this equation like this. P naught is equal to bending moment at the center by eccentricity at the center. But if you want to have a minimum P naught value, that is minimum pre-stressing force, we need to have the maximum eccentricity at the center. Okay, so the maximum possible eccentricity is 200. Considering the clear cover requirements, we should have a maximum EL by 2 is 200. So in that case, we'll get a P naught value which is minimum required. Okay, if you move the cable further up, then the P naught value will increase. So we don't want to apply very high pre-stressing force. So to reduce that, we will provide the eccentricity which is maximum possible. Okay, considering the clear cover requirements, the maximum possible eccentricity is 200. Okay, so this is the analysis for the first case. Then we'll go to the second scenario. Yeah. So under this, if you provide a cable like this, what will be the stress in the concrete? So we can find the stress in the concrete. It will be the pressure line is coinciding with the neutral axis here. So this entire beam will be in a state of pure compression. So the top fiber and the bottom fiber will have uniform stress, and that will be P naught by A. So sigma top, sigma bottom is P by A. So it is coming around area is 245 to 10 power 3, and P is 1617 kilonewton. So it's coming around 6.6 Newton, 6.6 megapascal. Okay. So second part of the problem, we are given some extra bit of information. What is asked is, we are given that end eccentricity is permitted. So we can provide eccentricity at the ends also. Here we have provided 0 eccentricity here at the left edge and the right edge. And here bending moment is 0, so E of x is equal to 0 here, and E of x is also 0 there. In the next part of the problem, we are given this information that end eccentricity is permitted. Okay, and second condition is no tension at any point in the beam during the entire loading cycle, during dead load and during dead load plus live load. So these are two things which are given, and we want to lay out the cable satisfying these two conditions, and find the layout of the cable and the corresponding pre-stressing force. Okay, so to do that, first we have to understand why what is the advantage of providing end eccentricity. So to understand that, the main advantage of using end eccentricity is it lowers the pre-stressing force. So to support this statement, let's look at this beam with 0 end eccentricity. So here at the left edge and the right edge, eccentricity with respect to the neutral axis is 0, and here also eccentricity with respect to neutral axis is 0. And we have analyzed this case. We are laying out the cable in such a fashion that A of x is equal to M of x by P naught. Okay, so here the pressure line is coinciding with the neutral axis. Now what we are doing when you provide end eccentricity is, we are shifting the cable with respect to the neutral axis at the edges. Okay, we are giving small eccentricities at the edges. So this is the new shape of the cable here. Okay, so we are shifted the left cable by a little amount here, and also the cable at the right edge by a little amount there. So what is the use of providing a cable like this? So if you provide a cable like this, and we can choose our pressure line to be this this dashed line. So this is the new pressure line, and the distance of the pressure line from the cable line is A of x, and for this case we will represent A of x by A prime of x. And for this case, we represent the pre-stressing force as P naught prime. Now let's do the analysis. For this case, the pressure line is here, and the distance A of x is equal to M of x by P naught. And for this case, the pressure line is here, and here A prime of x is M of x by P naught prime. So A prime and P naught prime, there are two things we are keeping here, and the relation is this one. A prime of x is M of x by P naught prime. Now we can combine these two equations and write a single equation. So M of x is equal to P naught prime A prime of x, and that is equal to P naught A of x. So if you look carefully here, A prime of x is greater than A of x. Okay, so when the new pressure line is above the neutral axis at this distance, that distance A prime of x is greater than this distance A of x. So as a result, because this equation is valid, P naught prime should be less than P naught. So we can achieve load balancing, means with a lower pre-stressing force. Okay, so we can achieve this load balancing with smaller value of P naught prime. Instead of using a very large P naught value, we can just apply a smaller P naught value and achieve the load balancing. So that is the advantage of using end eccentricity. So how to consolidate this concept, what I am presenting, you can imagine this to be a arch. Okay, arch with this distance is the height of the arch. If the arch is shallow, then the applied forces which you need to give at the support is very high. And if the arch is steep, then the support forces we need to give is little less. Okay, so you can imagine to be this to be an arch kind of structure, and the same concept will apply. The support reactions will be high for a shallow arch, and for a steep arch, the support reactions will be less. So we can provide a lower pre-stressing force here and achieve the force balance, that is the load balancing. So this is the advantage of using the end eccentricity. We can lower the pre-stressing force which is coming onto the tendons. So again, when I said the arch action, that I have to explain through another analysis, maybe tomorrow we can do that. So for that, for now, you can use this system of, you can use this analysis and try to get that concept that lower pre-stressing force is sufficient to do the load balancing for this when end eccentricity is provided. So, and then second condition is that we are providing end eccentricity now, and second condition is no tension should occur at any point in the beam during the entire loading cycle. So during the dead load and during dead load plus drive load. So to make sure that no eccentricity, no tension is produced in the beam, yesterday at the end of the class, in the last part of the class, we discussed about the current points, the top current point and the bottom current point. So this is the beam, and this is the neutral axis. At a height h by 6 above the neutral axis, we have the top current line, and at a height h by 6 below the neutral axis, we have the bottom current line. Okay, as long as the pressure line lies between the top current line and the bottom current line, the beam will be in compression. And if the pressure point lies above it, then the bottom fiber above the top current line, then the bottom fiber will go into tension. And if the pressure point lies below the bottom current line, then the top fiber will go into tension. So as long as the pressure line lies between top current point and the bottom current point, then no tension occurs. So when you lay out the cable, we should make sure that the pressure line lies between this top current line and the bottom current line. So we can lay out the cable below the bottom current line, but the pressure line should be above it. Okay, so that is the main condition we have to see. So to do that, we will lay out the cable now. So at the support point, we can lay out the cable at the top current point, here and here. So here the cable line coincides with the top current point. But if you move this cable line above, what will happen is above this top current point, then bottom fiber will go into tension. So we don't want that. So the optimum value will be put it at the top gun point. So at a height of h by 6 above the neutral axis, and also here at a height of h by 6 above the neutral axis. Now we are laying out the cable line here, and under the action of dead load and live load, we want to provide a pre-stressing force such that the pressure line is this one. Okay, we want this line to be the pressure line. So we get A of x is equal to m dead load plus m live load by P naught. So we want to make sure that P naught value is such a way that it coincides with this top gun line. Okay, if the pressure line goes above it, then the bottom fiber will go into tension. We don't want that. So optimum value will be to make sure that the P naught will be such that this line coincides with the top gun line. And at the center, we get A L by 2, which is m dead load plus m live load maximum, that is m total maximum by P naught. So it will be Q total L square by 8 by P naught. Okay, so these two equations we have. One is A of x is equal to m total by P naught, and here at the center, m total max by P naught. Okay, with this information, yeah. One more thing we should make sure is that the distance AL by 2 should be such that, means the cable line should be such that it lies above the clear cover. So this is the clear cover line, and the cable should lie above that clear cover line. So from the neutral axis, it should lie above h by 2 minus, it should be less than this value. So h by 2 minus clear cover. So the eccentricity with respect to the neutral axis should be less than h by 2 minus clear cover. And with respect to the top gun line, it will be h by 6 plus h by 2 minus clear cover. So this distance is h by 6 between top gun line and the neutral axis h by 6, and from h by 6 to this distance is h by 2 minus clear cover. So this entire length should be less than this value, h by 6 plus h by 2 minus clear cover. If it exceeds it, then this cable will go below the clear cover. We don't want it. So it should lie above the clear cover. So this condition should be satisfied. So h by 6 is 700 by 6 plus 700 by 2 minus 150. We're getting around 316.7. So AL by 2 should be less than 316.7. Okay. So we have one condition, second condition, third condition. Okay. And this is for dead load plus live load. I should have written it here. This is for dead load plus live load. And now we are analyzing only for dead load. So we have laid out the cable here, and for dead load only, we can find what is the offset of the pressure line with respect to the cable line. That will be m dead load by P naught. So that pressure line is shown here, that is indicated by the red color, and the distance of this pressure line with respect to the cable line is A prime of x, A prime of x, which is m dead load by P naught. At the center, it is offset is distance between the cable line and the pressure line is A prime L by 2. Just replace x with L by 2, we get A prime L by 2, and that is the offset at the center. And what we have to make sure is this pressure line should lie above the bottom curl line. If it lies above the bottom curl line, then we are safe. The beam will be in a state of compression. But if this pressure line lies below it, then the top fiber will go into tension. We don't want it. So we have to make sure that the pressure line lies above the bottom curl line. So under dead load plus live load, this is the pressure line. And under dead load only, this is the pressure line. The red color line is the pressure line. And we have to make sure that this pressure line lies above the bottom curl line. So that condition we have to express mathematically. So how will you express that mathematically? So if you look at this figure, this is L by 2. That is the distance of the top curl line from the cable line. And this distance is A prime L by 2, distance of the cable line from the pressure line. So the difference is this much. And this distance should be less than h by 6 plus h by 6. Okay, so that is what we have. This total length is AL by 2 minus A prime L by 2. We'll get this rise. Okay, AL by 2 minus A prime L by 2 is this length. And this length should be less than h by 6 plus h by 6. So we know this distance is h by 6, and this distance is h by 6. So this rise should be less than h by 6 plus h by 6. So a prime L by 2 minus a prime L by 2, a L by 2 minus a prime L by 2 should be less than h by 6 plus h by 6. So we know a L by 2 is m dead load plus m live load by p naught, and a prime L by 2 is m dead load by p naught, and that is less than h by 3. So dead load will cancel out, we'll get m live load by p naught, which is less than h by 3. So we can substitute q live load into L square by 8. So q live load is 20 kilonewton meter into 10 meter whole square span by 8 into p naught, and h is 700 millimeter. We express in meters, so 700 into 10 power 3, 10 power minus 3 by 3 meters. So we get p naught value as 1072 kilonewton. So the minimum p naught value we should give is 1072 kilonewton. And from this we can use this equation here. A L by 2 is equal to m total by p naught, and we get the eccentricity in the we can get this value A L by 2. So we are substituting here A L by 2 is m dead load plus m live load by p naught. So this value we have calculated, it is 323.5 kilonewton meter by 1072 kilonewton. So we're getting 0.3 meters, which is 300 multiplied by 1000, we get 301.8 millimeters. So we have found what is the AL by 2 and what is P naught. So we can find out, we have found out this value 301.8, and if we check this value AL by 2 should be less than 316.7, so that is okay. So 301.8 is less than 316.7, so the clear cover requirement is satisfied. And yeah, we can find out what is the eccentricity of the cable with respect to the neutral axis. So we have to find this maximum eccentricity, which will be AL by 2 minus h by 6. So at the center span we get AL by 2 minus h by 6. So 301.8 minus 700 by 6, we get 185.3. So P naught value is 1072 kilonewton, and the eccentricity at the center span is 185.3. Eccentricity at the left edge and the right edge is h by 6. That is 700 by 6. Okay. So this is the way we layer the cable, and we provide eccentricity at the with respect to the neutral axis 185.3, and pre-stressing force equal to 1072 kilonewton. So this is another way to do the load balancing, provided that end eccentricity is permitted, and also we are making sure that there is no tension produced anywhere in the beam. So as long as the pressure line lies between the top current line and the bottom current line, there will be no tension produced. So we are making sure that the top current line the pressure line is lying between these two lines. Okay. So in the first case, under dead load, live load, the pressure line was coinciding with the top current line, and in the second case, under only dead load, we are making sure that this red line lies above the bottom current line. So there is a specific condition we are formulating basing on that. And so what we have seen is using that end eccentricity. Previously, without eccentricity, we were getting 1617 kilonewton, but now with end eccentricity, we are getting only 1072 kilonewton. So with a lower pre-stressing force, we are able to do the load balancing here. Okay. So this brings the class to a conclusion, and